Hey everyone, what's going on? Greg here again from Team Blast. I'm going to demo off how I use the keyword gap analysis within SEMrush to do local SEO keyword research against my competitors. So I went into Google and I just chose two random companies and I'm pretending that Grasshopper is my client and then Highland Home Heating and Cooling is my top competitor. So here is Grasshopper's landing page for their HVAC near me. And then you have Highland over here. I'm going to grab Highland's domain and I'm going to put them into the keyword gap analysis directly underneath grasshopper.com. And then I'm going to hit compare. So it's not exactly apples to apples because I'm comparing a specific URL versus a domain, but for the sake of this video, let's just get started. So to start, SEMrush automatically does the shared keywords. This is most important. When I talk to my clients, either from an initial audit or an ongoing basis, this is the type of analysis that I share with them. And I say, here are some of our top competitors or the competitors that you self-identified. Across the board, I can see Highland is beating us for AC repair, HVAC, Saratoga Springs, New York, air conditioning, furnace repair, everything basically all the way down here. We only have a couple wins, but these wins are not even on page one, so they don't even count. So for us, it's really critical, when we look at the keyword gap analysis and say, hey, we're losing against one of our top competitors. They're getting the majority of the page one rankings, therefore they're getting the majority of the phone calls, website clicks, schedule bookings, form submissions, and so much more. Next, what I do is I look at the strong category for my, my client Grasshopper. So I can say, okay, got it. They rank, okay for terms like water heater replacement or plumbers in Saratoga Springs, but we're actually not on page one. Google only displays usually only 10 organic listings. So if we're position 18, we're on page 2, we're on position 8. We're not ranking across the board. You can also play around sections like Untapped as well to get an idea of kind of like you're not ranking at all, but they're sort of ranking. What are things that we can do to potentially do like a new keyword universe strategy to go after maybe new landing pages or new services or new product listings within our Google business profile. But let's just pretend now. So I've exported out the shared. I know across the board Highland is beating us. I look at our strong keywords. We're barely ranking. And I look at our Untapped as, hey, future projects, it would be great for us to maybe create landing pages around these particular services to go after. This is what I do next. So let's just pretend again, Grasshopper is my client. The first thing that I would tell them is that having this, it says HVAC and plumbing right over here is wrong because this is your H1 tag. But the problem is that HVAC and plumbing are two completely different services. So you're actually diluting your SEO efforts because, again, if I'm searching for an HVAC, contractor or service, it could be my boiler. It could be my furnace. Potentially not keeping my house as warm, or it could be my AC unit is making a weird noise. I don't really need a plumber, and then vice versa. If I have a drip in my shower, or if I have some type of leak that's happening, I don't care about HVAC. So I think you're already diluting your SEO efforts by having HVAC and plumbing, and I can see that within the keyword gap analysis. Next, I'm going to go back into the page source code just so you can look at something as well. I'm going to search for title. So again, the title here is HVAC and plumbing in Saratoga Springs, New York. Call Grasshopper. You don't need the word call Grasshopper. You don't need the phrase call Grasshopper in there because you don't even know what the number is. So that takes away character limit. But number two, again, having HVAC and plumbing in your title tag's a big ranking factor. And yet we're diluting our SEO efforts because we have two different services basically cannibalizing each other. This is just a personal thing for me, but I don't like when companies do this, like about Saratoga Springs, New York, and they talk about like, oh, we're between the Adirondacks and the Capital District. That's like an older SEO tactic, and I would say probably back in 2010. You would like put in like a little paragraph to say like kind of where you are. I think Google has gotten, also Bing too, and ChatGPT have gotten way more smarter. They understand the context clues of your address, the places you service, like your service area pages, your service listings, your description, where you get reviews from. You don't really need to have a paragraph that talks about where Saratoga Springs is. Chances are, if you are in Saratoga Springs, you know where you are. So this isn't helpful content for the user. I think Google's way more smart. They don't even look at this, and therefore it's also not helping your rankings as well. All right. So now we talked about the content. We talked about the title tag. We talked about what else we got? Title tag. We talked about the H1 tag. One more thing that I noticed for Grasshopper is that I put their entire URL into the Google Rich Results test, and I actually ran it to look for schema markup. And I can already see here that they have a problem with their local business schema over here. So when you go to the detected items, they're missing their name and they're missing their image. So it says HVAC business. I'm not even sure if this is right. There might actually need to be a space right there. I mean, it's good they have some things here like their address, but you can certainly have a longer description here, like that's missing. I would get really specific, and I would say that the schema markup on this page should mention, we do HVAC, which includes, HVAC replacement, HVAC tune-ups, HVAC repair, HVAC contractor. There's a lot of other terms you can add there to get really specific. And of course, I would have the name and I have the image, and I would even check to make sure the type is right. Again, I'm not positive if it's HVAC business. If it's like that, I'm not sure. But really simple things to kind of reiterate. So I'll go back into their SEMrush shared report. So when a potential client comes to reach out to me, or a current client is asking kind of what we can do to grow, to get more leads for their business, I throw their either URL or domain into SEMrush. I go to the keyword gap analysis. I look up either one competitor or a couple all at once, and then I kind of present this to my client and say, hey, this is where we're losing across the board. We can, here's the next thing we can do. We can, re-optimize our landing page. We can create a new landing page. We can really add schema markup that's more specific into this page. Or I might look into the Untapped section over here and say, there's all these things that Highland is sort of doing okay, but they're actually not ranking on page one. We're not ranking at all. If we're looking for new areas of opportunity, we can always, revisit this and say, should we, create landing pages around these type of services? Again, there's some search volume around this. They're really not ranking well for. I think we can get more competitive there with a better, dedicated landing page and a better experience. And again, the schema markup, the correct title tags, everything else like that. But really just in a high level, SEMrush I really like to use because it makes it incredibly simple to kind of showcase where we're at, where our top competitors are ranking, and then what do we need to do different so we can get more impressions, more website clicks, more phone calls, more scheduled bookings, and more customers for our business. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned for the next one.